Stephen Colbert did a sit-down with the Messiah. He was so far up Barack's backside, he could probably see if there were any polyps on his prostate. They're both worried. Both of these gentlemen, these deep thinkers, are very worried about the future of, the Republican Party, mainly. Colbert looking toward the midterms and worrying about this apparent divide, which doesn't exist, between so-called liberals in the neo-Marxist party and the real leftists. Not a dime's worth of difference. And Barack flipped the script, I should say, and expressed his genuine concern for the Republican Party and whether or not it will continue to be a loyal opposition party that meets his standards. I mean, the navel-gazing here is astounding.
The center is nonpartisan, but you yourself are still a member of the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
There's a debate on what the direction of the Democratic Party should be. It looks like it's going to be a fairly good midterm election for the Democrats. Chance to take the House, if not the Senate. But there's a big debate on what the leadership would be like going forward. Mm-hmm. Basically, it's liberals versus the left, to be very reductive about it. As my children say to me, Dad, you're a liberal. We're leftists. Because they're like, liberals are people who think things should basically stay the same. You know what I mean? And the next generation really wants things to change. So you have great leaders. You have people like Abigail Spanberger and Mikey Sherrill, very centrist. Yeah. But then you have further left, like AOC or Zoran Mamdani. Yeah. What direction do you think would be best for this party to actually achieve change?
Well, two things I want to say. First, you're right. The presidential center is nonpartisan. And the reason I want to mention that is because I'm worried about the Republican Party, not just the Democratic Party. When I was president, people would ask me, well, what change would you like to see in Washington? I'd say, I'd love a loyal opposition. I'd love a Republican Party that was conservative in some ways, that didn't agree with me on a whole bunch of stuff, but believed in rule of law and judicial independence and empirical evidence and science, and wasn't constantly tapping into our worst impulses. And there has been a Republican Party like that in the past, and I want to see that return, because I think you have to have two healthy parties.
Yeah, we need to go back to the party of Mitt Romney. Yeah, no, I know. We need a lay-down party to give the appearance of the loyal opposition without actually providing much opposition. No, I get it. I'll tell you what. First of all, if I'm Stephen Colbert and his kids are telling him they're leftists, not a fuddy-duddy liberal like him, which of course he's not, you may want to grow eyes in the back of your head there, Colbert. It's going to be interesting to see how they turn out. But more to the point, he is such an intellectual lightweight, which I've been saying since he first appeared on the scene, because I knew him from the General Assembly in Illinois. Such a flim-flam man. And frankly, a particularly quotidian one. It's just the cliched, platitudinous language, and obviously the dishonesty of it all. It's not even clever. It's not even well couched. He's really worried about the Republican. I want it to be viable. If only they weren't Nazis, we could have a loyal opposition party. Basically what he's attempting to say. And the disassociation. He's very concerned about the Attorney General being seen as the president's personal attorney, as opposed to the people's attorney, like Eric Holder was, like Merrick Garland was. You can't just direct the attorney general to go after your political opponents.
Well, there are a couple that I followed even though they weren't law. And I want us, we're going to have to do some work to return to this basic norm, and we probably now have to codify it. The White House shouldn't be able to direct the Attorney General to go around prosecuting whoever the president wants prosecuted.
And the trained SEALs applaud. It's just really difficult to get through. For more on this and other matters, Hollywood-related, Christian Toto, host of the Hollywood in Toto podcast, Hollywood in Toto, TOTO.com, HollywoodInToto.com. Christian, thanks for being with us again. Appreciate it.
I can't even. I can't even. I heard snippets of that. This is a longer segment. I just can't believe it. You know, a couple quick thoughts. One is May 21st can't come soon enough. That's when the Late Show, Stephen Colbert, goes off the air. Secondly, you know, listen, I'm right of center, conservative, not by every measure, but that's generally who I am. If I ever become that bubbled, that unwilling to accept alternate points of view, I don't know, I should be put in a home or maybe just feed me some pudding or something, because it's unbelievable. And I don't know whether that's an act or that's real. I think that's my biggest question. Are they really that naive and that clueless, or is it shtick?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I think Obama's, I've always said, I just said it, he's a flim-flam man. He's like he was the face guy for the radical left, and I think that's part of his act. Now, he's been doing it for so long, has it been, totally internalized, so it's indistinguishable from who he actually is? So vacuous, maybe, I don't know. But I mean, it's like there's little tells too. I mean, there's big tells and there's little tells, but I just love the idea. Nobody will pick up on this. The presidential center, that's nonpartisan. So when I step into Obama land, I'm a nonpartisan. I'm a statesman. I'm a philosopher. I'm an educator. But when I get over in the political arena, that's where I have to be more of a partisan. You see, he can shapeshift to the moment, right, and to the environment to make sure that he's just perfectly situated each time. I mean, it's just. It is. I don't know. It's nauseating.
It is, but here's the problem: there's no corrective force. There's no media that will fact check him, that will hold him accountable, that will ask him tough but fair questions. Listen, President Trump goes on Sean Hannity's show and they chat, and it has some value, but it's going to be more of a friendlier interview for sure. And there's mild value in that. I understand it. You speak to your base. That's perfectly fine. But the mainstream media, the legacy media, should be doing something, anything to hold these people accountable. And, it actually hurts the Democrats, because if you just go off on these tangents, you're so detached from reality, you don't serve your party well, you don't serve your voters well, you become weak and soft. And that's what everyone on the left sadly is these days, because they're never, ever challenged. Of course, when they get challenged, they call you Nazi and they shut you down and they throw the largest object possible in your way. So it's partly their fault. But, that's what's going on right now.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up, because earlier in the program, we're talking to Rich Lowry about the L.A. mayor's race and Spencer Pratt and that debate the other night. And one of the things that comes through is exactly that with Karen Bass and Nithya Raman. They are so unused to having to defend themselves against like substantive criticism and an alternative point of view, that Spencer Pratt just wiped the floor with them, whether the topic was homelessness or something else. They came across as offering tired, canned lines that work well in their circles, their political circles with fellow travelers, because they're all, lobotomized and all reading from the same playbook. But when you have like this exogenous force come in, I mean, they don't know how to handle it, and they look really bad attempting.
Yeah, it's like a boxer who has a big fight in 3 months, and they decide, I'm not going to spar. I'm in good shape. I'm fine. I know how to fight. I know my approach. I've got a whole strategy set up. I'll be good. And then you go in there, you get your clock clean because you haven't been sparring for 3 months. I mean, it's something similar. They're intellectually weak, and for that reason, when they do get challenged, it might have been the Seattle mayor. Was recently challenged, and her handlers had to kind of swoop in.
Yes,
and
Kate
rescue
Wilson.
her.
Yes, Katie Wilson.
That's what happens. Yes, it happens a lot. They're not ready. They're not ready. And conservatives, for better and worse, we get attacked and we get criticized and we get called out, and we have to defend our positions. And it makes us a little more intellectually ready for the fight, for the scrap. and they don't have that.
Right. And they don't get challenged. I mean, back to what you were saying before, they're certainly not going to get challenged by a media that serves as their comm shop. I mean, that's just the nature of it. So that's the good news. Bad news is there's no accountability because the media doesn't hold itself accountable. How could they hold anybody else accountable? I mean, there's just one media failure story after the other, most recently with the Southern Poverty Law Center, which indictments, which is in part a media fail. But the way the press corps is oriented now in D.C. and its regional outposts, the mentality that dominates those newsrooms, quote unquote, they are all in for pushing the candidates and the policies that they want.
Yeah, and it's it's worse than this. It's the comedy landscape too. Listen, Stephen Colbert, has he mentioned Eric Swalwell? Has he mentioned that Karen Bass was in Ghana when her city was on fire? I mean, did they mention the French Laundry with Gavin Newsom at the height of the COVID pandemic? That's another part of the protection racket. Listen, Saturday Night Live, I think, has a new episode maybe this weekend. I think Matt Damon might be the host. I bet you they're going to rail on Spencer Pratt. I think they may target him, but not the existing system in L.A. that's causing so much grief.
Yeah, not Nithya Raman, who blames Toyota for the incidents of catalytic converters being stolen out of Priuses in L.A. That's a Toyota engineering fail.
I think that was called up by Adam Carolla in a great bit, and that's the kind of story that should be on Jon Stewart and all these different shows because it's hysterical, and that's where you speak truth to power. And if you don't, you're not doing your job. And Stephen Colbert hasn't done his job for 10 years.
I won't be sorry to see him go, but and it's too bad because when he came up in the ranks through Strangers with Candy and then obviously on the Daily Show. And even when he had his own show for a little bit, the Daily Show for a little bit, where he was doing those, get to know a district interviews with politicians and stuff. I mean, that was good stuff. That was sharp stuff. And then he just decided to become a political hack. Such a waste.
Yeah, no, it's it. He has talent for sure, and maybe he'll find. Gosh, he's writing a new Lord of the Rings movie. That seems crazy, but he'll have a second act. He'll do something else now, and that's fine. And that's the way the marketplace works, a private podcast or something, but it's just getting him off the Late Show is just a win because it's terrible content. It just is terrible.
Reading your blog, I wasn't even aware of this. There was an Angel Studios produced a iteration of Animal Farm.
Yeah, no, they acquired it. They did not
they
make
acquired
it initially. I think I think it's been floating around for a while. Director Andy Serkis, that's been his baby for quite a long time. And instead of, poking at communism and Soviet-style authoritarianism, it pokes at anti-capitalism. So it changes the whole idea behind the classic Orwell book. And it's the kind of movie that has united the world because everybody hates it. It's not entertaining. It warps the whole purpose of the book. Liberal film critics just recognize it's a lousy movie. Conservatives are up in arms. And Angel Studios, which I've been very supportive of, and they do great work, and they've made very good movies. I don't know what their thinking was behind this, but acquiring this movie and putting it out there is really against their brand, and they're suffering a damage from their audience point of view. So I have to see how they go moving forward. But they've got a movie coming out very soon called Young Washington, just in time for the 250th birthday of the country. So maybe that'll kind of be their rebound. But a real bad move by them.
It's too bad. To do something like that and bastardize Orwell's great work is one thing. But even some of these things, like you thought, like Atlas Shrugged would make for such a good movie if it was done right, and the offerings have been terrible. I mean, the last sort of good movie I can think of that has a strong political or economic bent to it was actually The Fountainhead. Ayn Rand's The Fountainhead. That would, but that's obviously way back in the golden era of Hollywood.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, it's a very tough position for right of center storytellers, for right of center audiences. But when the occasional movie comes around that does appeal to conservative crowd, we don't often go support it. That's really frustrating. Richard Jewell, I guess it was maybe 2017 or so, the Clint Eastwood movie.
That was really good.
Right in the right's wheelhouse. It was about trust in the FBI. It was about the media, malfeasance. It was about narratives that were pushed that weren't true. And it was Clint Eastwood. It had everything going for it, and it bombed in theaters. And maybe they didn't market it well. Maybe you could say that maybe Warner Brothers didn't say, hey, they should have been on every conservative talk show and pushed it. But sometimes we just say, oh, we'll wait till we see it at home. I hear that a lot from my right-of-center friends, and I love my right-of-center friends, but it's frustrating because if you don't go out and see it, they're not going to make it. It's just as simple.
All right, I gotta test you on this one. Maybe you haven't seen it yet, but Jeffrey Tucker over the Brownstone Institute, I was talking to him yesterday about it, and he's got a good cultural sense, he's, an appreciation for things that are clever and beautiful and all that. He said Devil Wears Prada 2, the sequel, was an excellent commentary on the sort of haute couture, elite culture of the day. He really enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it less than he did. It's a weird movie in that it's really celebrating that kind of fashion, that culture, that elegance, that sophistication. But in the middle of all those scenes, there's talks about income inequality. So it tries to have its cake and eat it too. It's a weird kind of a film where the heroine is trying to fight the power, but she's also luxuriating in wealth and fashion and opulence. So I found it more of a mixed message. It's not a bad film, and it's a fine sequel. It's not nearly as good as the first one, but that was my take.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, now I'm a lot less enthusiastic about it. All right. Christian Toto, host of the Hollywood in Toto podcast, hollywoodintoto.com. Christian, thank you as always.
My pleasure.
And he joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
Cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $283. There are only two good things about aging: wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part? My guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate